Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, May 12th. I'm Gina Barti.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, Governor Hogan signs 350 pieces of legislation during a double bill signing ceremony this morning. There are several new measures that could have a huge impact on law enforcement and perhaps quell future unrest between police and the community they serve. One would require officers to record specific information to prevent race-based traffic stops. Another would require law enforcement agencies to notify the governor's office on officer-involved deaths. And Senator Victor Ramirez sponsored a third bill, SB 482, which will require officers to wear body cameras.
Framework with law enforcement as to our hopes as to when they could have it turned on, who can request it, how long the video should be retained, and to deal with the privacy rights of an individual when there's an expectation of privacy.
Given what happened in Baltimore recently, why is this bill important?
I think it's very proactive. I think that when law enforcement knows that they're being watched as well, it's human nature to act a certain way, to stay, to act in a certain behavior. And I think also the community would know as well that when statistics have shown that complaints drop drastically when the proper use of body cameras.
The Maryland Police Training Commission is required to submit a report on how to implement these new devices by this October. The emergency bill takes effect on January 1st, 2016. Well, it's estimated that about 1 million Marylanders could get a new lease on life with a series of new bills that were signed into law today. One, called the Second Chance Act, allows a person to shield court and police records for misdemeanors 3 years after the person satisfies the sentence.
We're looking at the Second Chance Act, so that say a person commits a petty shoplifting somewhere along the way. If they're off probation and more than 3 years have passed, they can ask that to be shielded. They can only do it one time in their lifetime, and they can't have any other pending charges at the same time. So we're looking at a lot of ways to bring people back into society.
A second bill would allow people to expunge any non-prosecuted cases from their criminal record.
In Prince George's County alone, there were some 25,000 persons in 1 year who had no pros, which means a crime that they were charged with were not convicted, but it remains on their record for 3 years. If they have one other running with the Lord, open container, all of those other laws cannot be expunged. Under this law, if you're not convicted, that's the subsequent expungement law. If you're not convicted, all of those charges are off, they're wiped clean.
And another measure signed into law today will expunge a person's criminal record if he was convicted of something that is no longer a crime. That could have a huge impact on many who were charged with marijuana possession. All three laws go into effect on October 1st.
The Prince George's Office of the Sheriff has released the names of the deputies involved in the shooting of a Landover man. On May 10th, Corporal Jamal Didier and Deputy First Class Anthony Bynum were responding to a domestic violence call in the 900 block of Nally Road when 34-year-old Lionel Young rammed his truck into their vehicle. Both deputies fired their service weapons, striking Young. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Meantime, a scary ordeal for a pool supplies delivery man in Laurel who was transferred to a burn unit following contact with a hazardous substance. Authorities say the unidentified 20-year-old man was making a bulk delivery of a chlorine-like product to Briarwood Apartments around 11:30 this morning. That's when a hose burst, spraying the toxic substance on his face and upper body.
That worker was experiencing a very painful burn, first-degree burn to his upper body. Not to mention he may have some issues with inhalation. If it sprayed on his upper body, it's very likely he inhaled that product as well. Our hazmat team arrived on location and we made entry into the pool house. We discovered that one of the 55-gallon drums where this pool delivery of chlorine was being put into for use to open up the pool. That very little product was left spilled. It apparently all went down the drain, but that is safe because this product is basically diluted when it enters the waterways.
Brady adds that the man should be released from the burn unit later today. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Gina Barti.
And I'm Patricia Vallone.